How many hours of your life have you watched professional wrestling? Wouldn't you just love to be able to tell people that you were doing it all for research? Well, it turns out I was. My name is Joshua Hale Fialkov. I'm a writer and a producer of television, animation, video games, and a writer of graphic novels. And I learned it all from watching professional wrestling. Don't believe me? Well, here's 5 things I learned from watching professional wrestling about being a professional writer. Do you want to see more videos like this? Then do me a favor, hit like and subscribe below. Wrestling with Story is a channel devoted to the ways that pro wrestling makes me a better writer, and how I'd make pro wrestling better. Hit subscribe to learn about writing, wrestling, and maybe just get better at doing one and watching the other. Your choice which. Okay, I'm deep in the second act of a screenplay. My protagonist has just had a major setback, and all hope seems lost. So things are going as planned. Except, what the hell am I supposed to do now? I thought I knew where the plot goes, but nothing is clicking. I need something else. I need to be working towards my end goal. Will I stop? And I think back to the Daniel Bryan saga around WrestleMania 30. Just pitch-perfect storytelling following the so-called scrawny, undersized Bryan, who was screwed out of the world title by his boss, only to use the power of the fans to get himself a shot at getting in the main event of WrestleMania. He faced Triple H, not just a man twice his size and with twice his experience, but his actual boss, in the ring to earn his title shot. Bryan fought the grueling match, ultimately winning, but getting grievously injured in the process. Now, with his title shot hours away, it's unclear if he can even compete, let alone win. We get to the main event, and Bryan faces Randy Orton and Batista at a huge disadvantage in terms of size, strength, and his injured arm. Then Triple H and Stephanie McMahon come out and get involved. Literally everything that could be against Daniel Bryan is against him. It's David versus Goliaths, an epic battle, but through it all, the audience is firmly at Daniel Bryan's back. And then, 1, 2, 3, he gets the win. The entire place goes mad. Okay, so what do we learn there? A character has to not just hit rock bottom, but have insurmountable odds in order to reveal their true colors. That's at the core of every good wrestling story and all good storytelling. Your protagonist is going to have a long, dark night of the soul, but can you find a way to do it as well as Daniel Bryan did? I'm writing a fight scene, and I wish I could just write pages 3 through 5, Batman and Killer Croc fight, but technically I do get paid by the page, so I probably need to do a little bit more. So instead, I want to craft something that has ebbs and flows and pacing and dynamics, and if only there was a model, I get an idea. I pull up Rey Mysterio versus The Big Show from WrestleMania 19. Okay, look, I'm not too proud to admit it. Good artists copy, great artists steal. Whenever I need inspiration for a fight scene, I can always turn to some of my favorite matches for a quick bit of robbery to help make what I'm doing feel more realistic, and sometimes even a little bit more fantastical. I'm sitting down to figure out a season of television. I have a great idea for the pilot. Killer hook, great cliffhanger, but then what, right? We've all done that, right? So we'll figure out the rest later. And then you get into the room to pitch it, and they ask the most dreaded question. What happens next? What's the rest of the season? And then you panic. You should have done what they did with the Bloodline. So yes, after years of trying to get Roman Reigns over, WWE really figures it out. The guy isn't a face, he's a heel, and the epic tale of the Bloodline begins. But here's the thing about that storyline. There's nothing complicated about it. It's the story of a family in dispute. It's about one simple question. Who should lead and who should follow? And every decision made in that story was about answering that question. That's what's made it such effective long-term storytelling. The actual details of the twists and turns were made along the way, but they were always made to enforce the core through line. Roman Reigns' rise to power as his cousins and the rest of the WWE tried to stop him. See, when you're sitting down to plot a long-term story, the important part is to find the emotional core of the overarching plot. See, once you have that core, you can shape the individual beats with a broad hand, making something that may seem daunting, like plotting out a season or 3 or 4, much more achievable. Now, you got a great idea for a movie or TV show. You want to do it more than anything in the world, and ideas just like it have sold in the past. So you sit down and put together a comic book, and you release it, and there's no response. This happens. It's happened to me more than once. There's countless reasons this can happen, but one of them, well, it makes me think about Hulk Hogan. Stay with me here. For years, Hulk Hogan was the most popular wrestler in the world. Hell, one of the most popular people in the world. For nearly a decade, he dominated pop culture, let alone wrestling. And then one day, he was passé, a cliche. He didn't connect with his audience. Sometimes ideas are just like that. They might have a ton of value, but the audience isn't right for them. So, what do? Well, you can do what Hulk Hogan did. He reinvented himself as the heel Hollywood Hogan, starting the NWO, becoming an anti-hero, giving the audience of the time exactly what they wanted. See, here's the thing. Our job as storytellers is to meet the audience where they are. And yeah, sometimes they don't know what they want, but they do know what they don't want. And our job is to listen, to pivot, and to keep trying until we find the creative choices that reverberate. Time for that tip that might just be the key to breaking into Hollywood. Did you know that every single wrestler lie about their height and their weight, and a lot of them lie about where they're from, and their names, and their win-loss records, and, well, everything? See, the real key to pro wrestling is playing the part of a professional wrestler. And I've got some news for you about Hollywood. It's the exact same thing. Now, I'm not saying you should lie about your credits or make up your backstory, but you do need to have confidence, pizzazz, and swagger if you want to convince anybody to actually invest the literal millions of dollars it's going to take to do anything that comes out of your mouth. So, the next time you're walking into a meeting, do yourself a favor and channel your inner Shawn Michaels. What's the best thing you ever learned from pro wrestling? What type of writing do you want me to talk about next? Let me know in the comments. If you've enjoyed this video, I make videos just like it 3 times a week about storytelling and wrestling, so make sure to subscribe. You can also support the channel by liking, sharing, and even picking up some of our cool-ass merch available in the links in the description. We also live stream 3 times a week on Twitch and on YouTube Live for Dynamite, for SmackDown, and for Raw. I'm going to put a video of some of my favorite gimmick matches of all time and how they help to tell epic stories right here for you to watch. So give it a click, keep on watching, and hey, wrestling forever.